Let's start today off with Euro GBP, where we do have a high impact news on USD pairs today at 8:15 and also 10 p.m. This is GMT +7, by the way. So check your time zones and check the news accordingly. All right. So since we have USD pairs, high impact news, you guys voted on USD CAD actually to be one of the three pairs. But the other two that gained popularity was EG and EJ, all right? A lot of votes for EJ, actually. Now, before we go into Euro GBP, let me just have a quick update on the pairs from yesterday. I've been super busy taking care of my mom, so I haven't been able to update the pairs accordingly. All right, so now Euro AUD from yesterday, right? It came down and it failed to poke into our key level, but it did touch our zone over here before flying all the way back up, right? And current price is over here. If you want to monitor EA and you have a higher risk appetite, then you can flip down to or switch down to M15 or M5 to find a setup for a potential sell down. Okay, but if you have a lower risk appetite and you are quite conservative with your capital, then wait for the H4 to close first to see if it closes within this zone or above. All right. Next is UJ. Now UJ, oh no, okay. UJ did very well yesterday because from the key level, I'm just gonna take it from the key level, right? Some of you actually gained more than 100 pips from UJ. Well done. So UJ from last night up until now, it is running almost 200 pips. But last night it ended around 130 pips. But either way, almost 200 pips for UJ. If you want to keep holding and you have some entries running for UJ, make sure you just set break even, TP some, and just ride with the flow. Okay. Last but not least, AU, also in blues because when the news was released last night, this H4 shot all the way up into our sell zone, right? Then this zone, even if you didn't catch the entry from here, you would have caught the entry on this H4 because it still came back to leave a wick. All right, so from our sell zone and from the key level for AU on a sell, from highest to lowest, it gave us 48 pips. All right. If you want to keep holding AU, again, make sure you set break even because it might not move a lot due to the high impact news that we'll be having in the evening. All right. So if the Euro session you see USD crossed pairs not moving much, that might be it. So if you don't have any entries, especially if you don't have any entries and you want to trade USD pairs, make sure you either wait for the US session or after the news is released. But if you want to scalp throughout the afternoon up until then you may. Okay, so 48 pips running plus approximately 200 pips. That's almost 250 pips just from three pairs. Okay, now we go for EG. Okay, we have our sell zone up top that started with an engulfing buy that failed. Price came back, closed within, created this engulfing sell. Now this H4, our previous H4, tapped into the zone but not into the key level. So we are going to monitor for this zone for any potential sells and any potential buys down here. I don't like trading in the black zone, but if you do and you have mastered engulfings, then you can scalp in these engulfings. All right, like if it were to drop down, you can catch a mini buy over here, another mini buy over here if you're able to find the key levels within these zones, potential zones. But I am only going to press buy here and sell here when the price comes. Okay. Current price is over here. So EG can either, iPad's a bit laggy, but that's okay. All right, can either come up into our sell zone, and if it respects it, then we swap down or switch down to M15 or M5 to find our sell setups before pressing. If H4 closes above, then we know potentially might want to test a higher zone. All right, even though the key levels that I give, especially this one, is for a sell, if H4 decides to break my sell zone and my sell key levels, putting emphasis on the zone, right? If it breaks the zone, then instead of using my key levels for a sell, then you use it for the opposite direction, which would be a buy. So you wait for the price to retrace back into the key level to find any setups that you can find for a buy, for a potential buy entry or potential buy setup. All right, vice versa. If the price decides to drop down into our buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. If it breaks down below, then it might want to test a lower area. All right, again, M5 and 15 for entries. All right, switch down to those because we are on H4. Next pair, UCAD, one of my favorite pairs, honestly. Now, UCAD I gave, I think, a few days ago, maybe on Monday. And on Monday, we already caught this 40-ish pips from UCAD, and it continued flying, right? Or was it yesterday? I'm not sure, but it was was within this week. So UCAD from my buy zone, my buy key level, already gave us 100 pips running, right, in the span of a few days. But now we are still going to use the same key levels and the same zones. Why? Because the zones have not been broken, meaning the zones are still very much valid until the H4 decides to close above my sell zone or close below my buy zone. When it does that, my zone becomes invalid and I will use the key level for the opposite direction. Okay? Excuse me. So, stuffy nose. So current prices over here. What can UCAD do? Same thing. I'm gonna keep repeating over and over. If it comes into our sell zone and respects it, then maybe we can catch a sell back down if we can find setups in the smaller time frame. If H4 decides to close above, then it might want to test a higher area. Right, vice versa. If it decides to drop down into our buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. If it breaks below, then it might want to test a lower area. All right, your SL, again, after entering, make sure to count 40 pips from your entry price and set that as your SL. Oh, my voice is cracking. Excuse me. So yeah, again, SL 40 pips, okay? Please do not forget to set your SL. Last but not least, EJ, also one of my favorite pairs. EJ travels a lot too. Current prices over here. My sell zone is, or my potential sell zone rather, is an engulfing buy that recently failed. Price has yet to come back up and test the key level, but it did tap into the zone. But I'm going to wait at my key level for any sells that I might press. Okay, and the buy zone is quite far actually, but that is the immediate one to the current price. Oh, now suddenly you guys are messaging me for pairs. Okay. When the day begins, please do just message me the pairs, all right? Before I post my messages or anything, if you want to participate, so I can just go through them in one go, all right? But thank you so much for messaging me. Anyway, again, my potential sell zone is from this engulfing fail, fresh engulfing fail with the key level yet to be tested, meaning it already touched the zone, but it did not touch the key level. Then we have our engulfing sell that failed. This is quite fresh because after failing, the price did not even tap into this engulfing fail yet. All right, so 2 potential zones for a sell and a buy with an engulfing fail only. Okay, now current prices over here. What can it do? Let's screenshot that. Once again, same thing over and over. I'm going to keep repeating it. If it comes into our sell zone and respects it, then we try to find a sell back down. But if it breaks above, potentially it might want to test a higher zone. Where's the next higher zone? This engulfing sell. Alright, if it wants to go higher, then it has to close above and also break this wick, because over here you have quite an amount of wick, meaning the sellers over here was able to push the price all the way down to close here, right? So to be sure, if you want to, in situations like these, if you want to set break even and let the trade run even further, make sure you monitor where the candle closes, all right? But this is just in specific situations. Either way, after breaking, it can decide to shoot up in one go to test the next zone or retrace back into the key level for a better buy up. I'm more of the latter kind of trader. After my zone breaks, whether if I am able to enter on a trade and it hits SL because it went in the opposite direction, or if I couldn't find any setups, then I wouldn't enter, and it decides to break my zone, I like to wait for the retracement back into the key level for the opposite direction. But if it doesn't retrace back, I will just wait for the next zone, if anything. Okay? Now, if the price decides to drop back into our buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. If it breaks down below, then it might want to test a lower area. Okay? That's it for the 3 pairs. Again, for the TPs, some of you are asking me why do some of our members, why do they hold for 100 pips when I say 20 pips? What I say in my videos are, the minimum that I like to set, my first TP is 20 pips. That's just something that I can monitor, so at least when my order cuts automatically, I will just set break even for the rest. Okay? I like to take profit on my first TP and then I TP at my next zone. But my 20 pips TP minimum is just a marker for me to set break even. Alright? But if you do not have the mental capacity, if you do not have the mental strength, especially for newbies and beginners in this Forex industry, if you are new to this and you find yourself cutting your profits very early, meaning you have to build your tolerance up to it. So TP at a level of pips that you feel comfortable with. If you find yourself cutting your profits at 20, then set it at 20. If you find yourself cutting profits at 10, then set it at 10. All right? Once you start being more comfortable and more confident in holding longer without cutting, then you add the pips. All right? So that's it for the 3 pairs. Please, again, trade smart, trade wisely. Do not rush into a trade. You have the whole day to monitor. All right? You can either you want to trade or not, or wait for a specific moment, right? I still have a bunch of messages to go through. I'm so sorry I've been very busy, but I'm trying my best, okay?